another. Mainstream media. Government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
I mean, it's killing, destroying in the abstract sense.
And it feels great while you're hoorah American flags on your shoulder, but then when you're dying of cancer and you want medical care, they're going to say, you're just fine, soldier.
Yeah, and that's what's happened today. For example, I mean, literally, I just got the mail out of the mailbox, okay? And I've got the summary data total for the casualty data for Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom as of July 2nd. I mean, this came in the mail. I took it out of the mail 20 minutes ago, okay? As of July 2nd, in Iraq, we have 4,105 that have been killed in action, and we have 30,314 that have been wounded in action. In Afghanistan, as of July 2nd, we have 533 that have been killed in action, and 2,167 have been wounded in action. But that's not the real story, because the majority of the casualties, and the report that I have is from January, so it's 6 months old, and this is analysis of VA healthcare utilization among U.S. global war terrorism veterans, Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. And when we look at the VA data that's 6 months old, it states very, very clearly, okay, and I'm going to reemphasize very, very clearly, 39% of all former active duty troops have sought medical care because of serious medical problems. And 36% of all of the individuals in the Reserve and the National Guard that have been deployed, this all since 2002, have sought medical care. It's incredible numbers.
Also, the suicide rates I was seeing, where it was something like 18 times the previous record. I saw that in the mainstream news a few weeks ago.
Well, you got a combination of suicide and murders, so, I mean, we've got to look at what is happening because there's been so many murders. It's incredible. I mean, really highlighted right now another murder of a pregnant female soldier out in the East Coast. But when we look at the medical problems, they're absolutely verified, totally verified by the Department of Veterans Affairs 6 months ago. 33,783 with serious infectious parasitic diseases. 2,611 confirmed malignant cancers. 11,000 benign cancers. 61,000 metabolic problems. 6,194 blood problems, and this is leukemias and everything else. 120,049 with a PTSD, and we need to come back to that. 98,741 with serious neurological problems. Now, we know the neurological problems are directly related to two things this time around, as it was before: pesticides and nerve agents, chemical weapons, and uranium munitions. Absolutely, totally directly related. And, I mean, I've got all kinds of neurological problems, and, the doctors are totally confirming that from DU. 46,725 circulatory. 57,312 serious respiratory. Now, respiratory is the first thing that's affected with uranium exposure, same thing with pesticides. So what we're seeing is these young kids are dropping dead from cardiac problems and respiratory problems all over the place. 92,943 serious digestive system problems. And what we're seeing is the whole digestive system has just gone to mush. It's sort of like Jell-O.
Well, I was just going to point out that I scan all the news and local news, not all, but a good part of it, and people send it to me. Every day, if I look, I see little stories where a guy in Kansas, a guy in Texas, upstate New York, they're 25 years old, they just come home, and suddenly everything falls apart, and they're in a wheelchair, and they're dead 2 weeks later. And then they just say, oh, we don't know why he died.
Well, we know exactly what's happening. The diseases of the skin, the rashes. I mean, my rash is opening and bleeding right now, Alex. It has not healed since it started 24 hours after I started doing the cleanup of the DU with the ground war in 1991. It's opening and bleeding as we talk, right now. And, and I've got problems all over now. I call them, well, how about wound management? Well, bye-bye, go away. So rashes, incredible numbers. Musculoskeletal system, connective tissue. Now, the diagnosis, or the formal diagnosis with the disability is fibromyalgia.
Stay there, sir. We're going to be back in 3 minutes. Long segment with Dr. Doug Rokke. New developments new articles he's been writing. The situation with DU has gotten far worse. They're serving it out to everybody now. It's being used in every weapon system you can imagine. It's being used in firing ranges near you. We'll be right back.
From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
The always intriguing Alan Watt's going to join us for close to 2 hours in the third and fourth hour today. For the rest of this hour, Dr. Doug Rokke. Before we go any further, my new film, Truth Rising, is out. This film needs to be seen. It needs to be big. It exposes how the first responders breathe the asbestos, the mercury, the lead. Some of their lungs have multiple ounces of these particles in them. Mount Sinai, people have died. They've done autopsies. It's in the film, we say over 1,000 that just came out a few weeks ago. I mean, that as we finished it a few weeks ago, it came out last Friday. The number's really several thousand, but that's certified by hospitals over 1,000. 55,000, they're saying, will be dead within a few years. And that's not counting local schools and people. And the EPA documents came out. They knew the dust was deadly. And they said, no, you don't need breathing apparatus. Open the schools, open Wall Street, go in. And so they always stonewall. They always do whatever the most cold-hearted thing is. The globalists revel in this. It's another example of what we're talking about with Dr. Doug Rokke today with the depleted uranium, which is far worse than the stuff killing the firefighters and police and medical workers. And I want him to explain the difference between this type of radiation and the particulate as a poison itself versus, classical radiation that people think, well, my radiation badge they give me in the Abrams says I'm fine, which is, again, a cruel joke with Dr. Doug Rokke. But please get Truth Rising. It covers the first responders. It covers how it's an inside job. It shows the police state, how they threaten We Are Change and 9/11 Truth, saying we're terrorists, threatening to arrest us, threatening to plant bombs on us. It shows the media attacking us. I mean, it's a riveting film. This is who the truth movement is. It's meant to spread our numbers, tell our story, put a human face on us. As we gain momentum, Jesse Ventura, Willie Nelson, Martin Sheen, George Carlin, right before he died, is interviewed in the film. Then there's the enemy on the other side, from Bill Clinton to Hillary to Barack Obama to John McCain to Rudolph Giuliani, Lynn Cheney. I mean, it's an unbelievable film, ladies and gentlemen. I sat down last night and watched like an hour of it, my own film, and I was like, I made this. I can't believe this. This is so powerful. Get Truth Rising at Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com today. Truth Rising, or simply call toll free to get it, 888-253-3139. Make as many copies as you can and get it out, because if we don't expose that Black Ops carried out the attacks, they're going to keep using more staged attacks to expand wars and set up a police state here at home. Going back to Doug Rokke, just an amazing individual, and I'm all over every comment he's making. I apologize for interrupting. I just want to back up everything he's saying. You were going through the list of things that are happening to the troops and the true Holocaust that we're witnessing, and we're not even getting the numbers on the contractors. In cases, that's even worse. But I want to first digress, go back to an earlier question we didn't get answered. Can you walk through why DU is so deadly, and then explain its type of radiation versus why they're giving Abrams drivers these radiation badges and saying, see, it's not bad for you?
Yeah. Okay. First off, uranium munitions are the byproduct of the enrichment process by which the U.S. Department of Energy extracts fissionable isotopes to make nuclear weapons and nuclear fuel for reactors, okay? Now, for every, say, and again, I'm going to put this percentage-wise, for every 100 pounds that goes into the process, 99.4 pounds comes out as pure waste. There's only 0.6 pounds out of every 100 pounds of this pure stuff that goes in that can be made, that fissionable isotopes can be extracted and make reactor fuel and nuclear weapons. So we got 99% of everything goes into this thing is pure waste. Well, that's the uranium hexafluoride. That is then processed into solid uranium weapons. Okay? So DU round, we got a kinetic energy penetrator. These are gigantic rods of solid uranium, uranium-238, and then we have uranium-234, 235, uranium-236, plutonium, neptunium, and americium. That's what's in the round. A tank round, every single round is over 10 pounds of solid uranium. They're not coated, they're not tipped. And then you already mentioned the Abrams tank. That's what that is. Then you got the A-10 Warthog aircraft. Every single one's about 3/4 of a pound of solid uranium, and they fire them at 4,000 rounds a minute. That's 1.5 tons of uranium on target per minute. And then we got the Bradley fighting vehicles, 1/2 pound. The Navy Phalanx is 1/2 pound. And the Navy Phalanx, they're shooting it up all over the place, right in the bays and harbors. Coast Guard now has it. They've been shooting it up. I mean, the Reagan Task Force left, and we got word from one of the gunners that they shot it up, out at sea, so it's all over the place. So we know this stuff is happening. Now, what happens is uranium weapons are primarily an alpha emitter. They also have beta, gamma, and X-rays. The badge, the X-ray technician, the dentist, they all wear, they're given to these guys. These are for gamma emissions only.